this week we're dealing with priestly clothing, and it's like an epic dress code that involves crimson and gold and linen and wool and all this other stuff, and tunics and sashes and crazy stuff. And you know, it's not like there was an H&M in the Middle East during Bible times, so this was like a pretty big deal. To me, it's kind of interesting because last week's Torah portion was about building the tabernacle, and it had a lot of stuff involved with it too, gold and copper and silver and stuff like that. And this week's portion is kind of the same idea, only it goes from a building to clothing. It's almost like the priests are a physical walking manifestation of the tabernacle itself. Like the tabernacle's all pimped out and the priest's totally pimped out. It's kind of the same vibe, if that makes any sense. Now what we wear can actually change our personality. The best example that I can give is this friend of mine. See, she always wears headscarves and like long skirts, and always wearing like funny Jewish t-shirts, like Super Jew t-shirts and I Heart Hashem t-shirts and stuff like that. And that's totally her vibe. Now, she's not Orthodox. You might think that by looking at her, just because she's kind of got, you know, the uniform going on, but it has more to do with like modesty and kind of this post-Orthodox idea that sort of she has going on. One day I went over to her house and I noticed that she was wearing jeans and like a really plain t-shirt. She didn't even have like a hat on or anything. I thought it was kind of weird because that's so like not her. And you know, she also wasn't her like usual upbeat self. In fact, she looked kind of miserable. And several days later I asked about it, and she was like, oh, I'm going through this spiritual crisis and I just couldn't bring myself to wear all that Jewish clothing. I feel so fake. I've been kind of looking into some other stuff, and I just, you know, life is so messed up. I don't know what I believe anymore. Like, it's just, you know, everything's so screwed up. Well, several weeks later, I had a Shabbat dinner for a bunch of people, and she and her family came over, and she was like smiling and laughing and having fun playing with their kids, and it was just crazy. And she was wearing the same outfit that she normally does, you know, the scarf and all that, and I kind of asked her about it. I was like, you know, you look like you gotten better, you know, what's going on? She's like, you know, honestly, I just had to put the uniform back on. You know, once I put that uniform back on, you know, and forced myself back into it, I was able to get back into God. And that's kind of how what we wear can kind of change how we are on the inside. Tetzaveh shows our weakness towards this kind of aesthetics, you know. We kind of need to play dress up and see those in power over us looking nicer than us. But the great thing about the Torah is that it focuses on these human needs, but it pushes them in the right direction. The Torah is never like, no, you suck. It's like, nah, you know, you're a human being. This is kind of how you're programmed, so let's find a way to like move this in the right direction that it needs to be. Bottom line, if you're going to look up to someone, it's good to look up to the priests, and you know, they look good, so there you go. Like, that's taking that need to look up to people who look awesome and putting it in the right sort of focus.